How is it going, everybody? You're watching Then About Tech. So you've updated your iPhone to iOS 16, but the battery isn't the same, is it? It's not lasting as long as it used to, and it's draining so much faster than it was in iOS 15. Well, I know what you're dealing with. We're all in the same boat here, and today I'm gonna show you how you can save a ton of battery life in iOS 16. So let's begin. My first tip is something that we generally don't think about, but it's super important. Go to the App Store and then let it load and tap on your profile picture right there at the top right hand corner. Scroll down a little bit until you see updates. And it's super important that you do update all of your applications. You can either tap manually and update them or tap here to update all. And why is this extremely important in this scenario that we're in after updating to a major software update? And the reason is very simple. Those software updates right here will make your apps more compatible and more optimized to iOS 16. So they will perform better and they will drain your battery less. They will use less of your iPhone battery because they're more optimized. Another thing that we generally don't think about, but it's super important as well, is the fact that after we update to a major software update, we generally tend to use our iPhone and play with our iPhone a little bit more to use and take a look and experience all of the new features and everything that's new. And this may be the cause to why your iPhone is draining so much faster than it used to, because maybe you were using your iPhone a little bit more. That's just something to keep in mind. Another new feature in iOS 16 is the Spotlight search being available right here on your home screen. So instead of having to pull down to access your Spotlight search, you can simply tap on search. But how does it affect my battery life? And guys, trust me, using the Spotlight search will drain your battery so much. Let me give you a simple example. Let's say I want to open the music app right here at the bottom, music. So instead of taking a look at where the music app is, you may go ahead and tap on search and then type in music, right? And as you do that, you'll see the music app right here as a top hit. And then you may think that's it, but no. The Spotlight search is doing so much more in the background. Take a look at this. Siri suggestions. So then you have here a ton of suggestions on content, on Safari search, and a lot of that the Spotlight search has done without you asking for it. If you scroll down, it's gonna look for audio files and music within the Files app. If you scroll down a bit more, same thing with your voice memos. And it's gonna load music it thinks it's what you wanna hear. So suggested music and so on and so on. So the amount of stuff the Spotlight search does when you search for anything is incredible. It's loading a ton of stuff, it's actually looking for a ton of stuff, and it's just using a lot of your battery. So if you can, just look for stuff that you want to open or see instead of using the Spotlight search every single time. Now let's talk about the new lock screen. It's completely redesigned here in iOS 16, has a ton of new features and also a ton of things that could drain your battery life. Like for example, your widgets. So if you take a look right here, you can see that I have 4 widgets. And the more dynamic they are, the more they have to load stuff, the more battery they will drain. So for example, I have here 2 widgets for the weather. So temperature, and let me just unlock it. So temperature and conditions, so chance of rain. And this will be updated all the time because this will need to be updated to see if it changes every few minutes. So then it's using your battery constantly. Same thing here right there at the top with my activity. So those are my 3 rings for activity, and this will be getting information from my Apple Watch all the time. So contacting my Apple Watch and updating all the time. Same thing for news. As you can see right here, it's gonna be loading and checking for breaking news, important news all the time. And this moves on and on and on. So if you're using widgets here on the lock screen, I do recommend that you prefer widgets that are a little bit more static than everything super dynamic. And it's not only about the widgets, but also the wallpaper. So if we slide to the right and tap on add new, As you can see here, we have a few options as a theme for our wallpaper. And if you choose, for example, a dynamic wallpaper like the weather one, same thing will happen. So as you can see here, we have information being loaded in the background, location. We're seeing here 3D animation, so this will definitely use a ton of your battery. If we go and choose, for example, photos as well, so your iPhone will get your photo collection and do the photo shuffle, and then it will always constantly be changing your photos and all that. Same thing, it will drain your battery. And same thing with astronomy as well, which will use your current location and 3D animations all the time in your lock screen. So of course, if you want to save battery life, choose more static photos and wallpapers. This will be much better for your battery. Oh, and last thing here in your lock screen as well, the live activities. Right now we don't have a lot of applications that are compatible with live activities, as you can see here, but I put an example of the music app. Soon we'll see a ton of apps here like Uber and many other apps like sports apps that have live widgets being updated constantly to give you information right here in the lock screen. Same thing, as you can imagine, dynamic, updated, constantly updated widgets will be bad for your battery. Now, if we open the Notes app and if we tap here to bring up the keyboard, I don't know if you know this, but we have this new feature in iOS 16, which is the keyboard haptic feedback. So as we tap on the keys, we'll feel a little vibration on the iPhone using the Taptic engine. And because of that specifically, it will of course drain your battery faster than not using it, as you can imagine. So then it's a cool feature, it's really nice, but if you want to save battery, you should disable this to stop the Taptic engine to be functional all the time. So then if you go ahead and go to your settings, and then if you see here sounds and haptics, and then you scroll down, you see here keyboard feedback and then haptic. So then you can easily disable and your keyboard will stop vibrating when you tap on it. Now let's talk about live text. So if I open my camera and I tap on video and I take a quick video of this notebook cover, as you can see right here. Okay, I'm gonna put it to the side now. And then if I go ahead and open up that video that I just made, and if I pause that video right here, you can tap and hold on any text and then it'll recognize the text. As you can see, it recognized awesome right here. And then of course I can copy it, I can translate it to another language. This is a very cool, very nice feature. But the thing is, it uses your battery. It's gonna drain your battery much faster because it's gonna be in the background of all your videos processing and looking for text. So we've had this feature with photos in iOS 15, and now in iOS 16 we have it for video, and it's even worse. I mean, the feature is even better, it's super cool, but it's even worse for your battery because of the processing. So what I recommend you to do is, if you don't really use that feature, if you're not traveling, if you don't really use it, just go ahead and go to your settings, and then scroll down to general, and then language and region. That's right, it sits in language and region for some reason, and disable live text. Now let's talk about Siri. So Siri got smarter in iOS 16 like it gets in every new major software update, and one feature in specific got me a little bit concerned. So if we tap on settings and we scroll down until we see Siri and search, you can see that I have listen for Hey Siri turned off. And I've given this recommendation before, but now it's even more important in iOS 16 because, as I said, Siri got smarter and it can do more things in more scenarios. Like for example, if you're on a phone call and if you say, "Hey Siri, hang up," it will hang up the call. It means that when you are talking to someone on the phone, your iPhone is constantly listening to it, paying attention, processing the information, and looking for the command, "Hey Siri." So as I said, this is new in iOS 16, this hang up call specific thing, and I do recommend that it turn it off unless you really use it, you really like it, and Hey Siri is an important thing for you. I do understand it, but my recommendation is to turn it off. Another feature that is not completely new but got well improved in iOS 16 is the dictation feature. So as you tap on the little microphone, your iPhone will be listening to what you're saying and processing all of that text, and of course transcribing to the application you're in and doing the dictation. And even though it works pretty much perfectly, as you can see here, and it goes beyond that. It can even recognize emojis. If you say an emoji, it'll put right here and all that. But voice recognition is something that will drain your battery. It uses a lot of your battery, so I also do recommend that you don't use it all the time unless you really like it or it's very important to you. Now, on top of all those iOS 16 specific tips, there are also some other very general, very important tips that have always been on my videos. And I'm gonna talk about those very briefly just because, as I said, I have already talked about them in detail in other videos, which I'll put those videos in the description down below, and I'll put cards right here as well if you want to check them in detail. So let's take a quick look at them. First of all, let's talk about notifications. So if you go to settings and notifications, right here you'll see all of your apps that are allowed to notify you. And I do recommend that you go ahead and take a look at them one by one and only enable notifications for those apps that you need to be notified about. Same thing here. If you scroll down until you see privacy and security, and you check your location services, scroll down until you see all of the apps that are currently using your location. Same thing, take a look at them one by one. Location is so critical for battery life. So have a look here and see what are the apps that you want to see your location and use your location, and the ones that you don't need at all. Another tip that is always on my videos is scrolling down until you find mail, and then accounts and fetch new data. Oh, this is a huge villain for so many years. So if you tap on fetch new data, you have the possibility to, of course, enable push to get new mail or fetch. And when you have push turned on like I do, this is a bad practice, guys, okay? Push turned on is bad because it means that your iPhone, the mail app, will be constantly looking for new mail and pushing to you all the time. So it's like constant looking for new notification, if you know what I mean. And if you choose fetch, you have the possibility to set for it to take a look for new mail every 15 minutes or 30 minutes or hourly or even manually just when you open the app. So instead of looking for new mail all the time like push, you can create a schedule, saving a ton of battery life. Still here on our settings, we have cellular data over Wi-Fi, and this is huge as well. So if you can, always use Wi-Fi, always prefer Wi-Fi as your method of connection. So as you can see here, I'm using Wi-Fi because cellular, so your 4G and especially your 5G, will drain your battery so much more. Okay, so only use cellular when you don't have Wi-Fi available, and prefer 4G over 5G. And of course, let's talk about the screen, more specifically the screen brightness. So the brighter you use your iPhone, the faster your battery will drain. It's pretty obvious, but trust me, it makes a huge difference. And on top of that, if you use your maximum brightness all the time, brightness right there at the top, not only it'll degrade your battery, but it will also degrade your screen as well. I see so many people with burned displays, with problematic displays, and a lot of it have to do with using maximum brightness all the time. And last but not least, we have to talk about low power mode. So go to battery and then low power mode. And of course, you can always enable it right here on the control center. And guys, I can't stress how important, how effective, and how good low power mode is. The only downside to low power mode is it will throttle your iPhone. It'll make your iPhone slower. It will diminish the productivity as well and the information that it processes in the background. It does quite a lot of things that I don't recommend that you use it all the time, but I do recommend that you enable it every time you're on a pinch that you really need to squeeze every 1% of your battery. Do enable low power mode. Is very effective. It's very good. And if you want to learn everything about low power mode, I'll also put a card right here and link in the description. So that's it. That's literally it. Those are the biggest and most important tips on how to save a ton of battery life in iOS 16. Hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching, and I see you on the next one as usual. Bye bye.